You may not be able to see me in this video because of the layout of where the instrument sits by Charles M. Ruggles. This is a tracker instrument built in 1994, but I would like to focus my attention on my hands. I will now play the first line of the chorale setting. So here we are dealing with how much space and how much separation we want to have in between the notes in this chorale setting. Again, it is written in a lyrical style, and the touch is ordinary touch. So there is a sense of separation between notes, but that separation is very nuanced and subtle. There are not too many instances where we'll have really wide gaps because the notes are going in consecutive order. The smaller the interval, the smaller the space needed concerning ordinary touch. The motion comes from the knuckle, and the fingers swing from the knuckle, and the wrist is relatively high as well, allowing the finger to swing naturally from the knuckle. That supports the finger basically hanging. The hand is hanging from the wrist. Now, motion still occurs in the shoulder joint, but it is smaller and is concentrated. But when I lift my finger, there's still a connection that goes from the shoulder joint, down the arm, through the wrist, into the hand. But it's just much more concentrated in contrast to the legato pieces by Gigoux and Vierne. The hand shifts versus there being pivoting from the wrist with the whole arm. The hand and the arm together are shifting, and again, the wrist remains relaxed and loose. The question is, what is the limb doing in the finger as far as the energy needed to play the note? It takes more energy to play the note than to hold the note, according to Tobias Mate, and Dr. Wilma Jensen refers to this as well in her handout of touches. When I want a smaller motion, the finger just needs to slightly move. And I'm not going to have an accent or an emphasis. Now, concerning the 16th note motives that I just played, they fall on the weak part of the beat. Metrically, the quarter notes fall on the strong parts of the beat. And so that is always the goal in 4/4 time. I'm also using Baroque fingering, especially with the scalar passages. For instance, 3/4, long finger over short finger. And that gives you a pairing that is part of Baroque performance practice that we know from the scholarship about bowings with string instruments and also tonguings with woodwind instruments. The left hand has dyads basically for the most part in the accompaniment, and also shifts. In that passage, I did 2-4, 2-4. Now, concerning the concept of weight in this piece, my hand is relatively weightless. And again, I'm just allowing the natural weight of the hand to fall from the knuckle, using the finger to play. I'm not carrying a lot of weight, and the high wrist also helps to keep the whole arm and hand loose and more on the weightless side of the spectrum. Here in this next line of the chorale, we have written out ornamentation towards the end of the line. These rhetorical gestures are identified in my document. Please see the document to find them. And here again, I'm thinking about metrical placement of beats 1 and beat 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. The goals, again, usually fall on beats 1 and 3 with that descending gesture. And this is known as a rhetorical gesture in the North German Stilus Fantastica style. Concerning the nuance of touch in the next line, I have a repetitive passage. Tum-tee-tum-tum. It's leading to the next beat. And again, those moving figures are on the weak part of the beat. And it's a question of how much energy I want to use to create a difference in nuance of touch. Sometimes I'm just on top of the key. Sometimes I'm over holding a note and then moving forward. Sometimes I'm giving more emphasis and equal amounts of pressure to each note. Here in this measure, we have large intervals, so the space between them will be wider. And the same as well in the pedal. In the next phrase, there's a passage where the moving notes occur directly after the downbeat, and I don't want an accent. So my hand just falls to the key, the finger just falls onto the key, and it's already resting on the key bed, and I'm just gonna simply fall and move. This is measure 21. The B of the next measure is my goal on the downbeat. So meter plays a big role as far as accent, placement, emphasis, and also the direction of the musical line. In Baroque music, there's a reflection of speech and the way that people articulate words with hard consonants, with liquid consonants. And the same idea occurs as far as the musical concepts in Baroque music with articulation. In measure 26, the whole measure are all moving notes. And here again, I'm going to think about the placement of the meter. 4, 1. The last line we have again here in measure 29, a section where the moving notes occur directly after the downbeat. So we don't want an emphasis, but we simply want to fall through. And then we want to time the ending of the piece by subdividing. Dr. Jeanette Fishel suggests that subdividing towards the end of a piece can help time the line in an organic and natural way. And 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1. To review, in the ornamented chorale, Nu bitten wir den Heiligen Geist by Buxtehude, we're using Baroque touch. There is small amount of space between notes that are going into consecutive motion versus larger intervals. The wrist hangs, allowing the finger to swing from the knuckle, and the metrical placement of beats 1 and 3 in a time signature of 4/4 carry significance because the long notes fall on that beat. The hand is shifting and the movement is subtle and nuanced and more concentrated, but there is still a sense of rotation occurring from the shoulder joint through the arm into the fingers.